Hello everyone, and welcome back to the continuation of Part 5, JavaScript Objects. Let's continue by discussing object methods. Object methods are essentially functions that are inside of an object. For example, imagine we have our car info object from the previous lecture, we have the make, year, and model, and then we actually input a function there as the value for a key. So the key is car alert, and the value there is an actual function call. And the function call just says, alert, we've got a car here. And then we can actually call that method off of the car info object, meaning we can actually call methods off objects, and they essentially act as functions inside of an object. Now, more realistically, what you're going to want to do is use key value pairs from the object itself, and in that case, you're going to need to use the special this keyword. And the this keyword can be confusing for beginners at first, so don't worry if you don't immediately fully grasp it. We're going to be seeing it when we talk about jQuery. But again, coming back to the previous example, here my function doesn't actually use any information that pertains to the object. It doesn't use the make, year, or model, it's just a function that gives a basic alert. But imagine I want to actually use some of those key value pairs from the object itself. Well, the this keyword acts differently depending on the situation. For a JavaScript object, the this keyword is set to the object the method is called on. Let me show you an example of what I mean by that. Imagine I have this very simple object where it just has one singular property, and that is the number 37. If I wanted a function called reportProp, or I should say a method called reportProp inside of my object, then I call reportProp function, and it returns this.prop, where this is acting as a reference to the actual object. And then if I were to say something like console.log my object.reportProp with the call, it would log 37 into the console screen. Alright, here's a really good link for more details on the this keyword. Again, it behaves differently in different situations, and we're only really concerned about it right now as it behaves in an object in reference to methods. So let's code out a few more examples of object methods to get a better grasp on everything that I just briefly mentioned. I'm going to hop over to the console now. Alright, here I am at the actual console. Let's create a very simple object. We'll call it the variable simple, and it's going to be an object with a property. We'll call it prop. And that property is, we'll say, hello. And then it's going to have a method inside of it. And we'll call this method my method, just to make it very clear everything that's going on here. And then I use the function keyword, close parentheses, so it doesn't actually have any parameters there. And then I'm going to say alert. Actually, let's make this a console.log, and it's going to console log the my method was called. And then let's close off these parentheses here. So there is simple. So again, simple is an object, and note when I actually show simple, it doesn't display the methods, it just displays object with the single property, that key value pair prop hello. If I say console.dir and then pass in simple, there I see an object that I can continue to expand to see my method and that property. Again, you could have also continued to expand up here, but that's just a simple note. Depending on what browser you're using, you may find it easier to say console.dir. Anyways, back to actually learning how to use this method. If I want to call the method, I just say simple dot and then call my method. And if I call my method here without any close parentheses and hit enter, then it just reports back the actual method inside of the object. Just like when we were calling functions, we need to actually have an open set and close set of parentheses on it. That way it can execute the function, which means I will call dot my method, close parentheses, and here it says the my method was called. Perfect, that's exactly what we expected. So again, just to review, here I have the property, there it is with the key value pair, and here I have my method. We do a function call, and then inside these curly brackets, whatever we want to actually execute whenever we call that method off of this function. Now let's see how we can use actual properties that are already in the object inside of my method. So I'm going to clear this. Alright, so to show the use of the this keyword, I'm going to create a new variable, and we'll call it my obj for my object, and we'll set it equal to an object. The object is going to just have one property. We'll say it's the name, and the name is going to be Jose, or you can just fill in whatever name you want there. And then let's actually give it a method, and we'll call this method greet, where we actually greet whosever name is in my object here. So I have greet, and I'm going to call the function keyword, curly brackets, and then here I'm going to say console.log, and I want to say hello, and then concatenate the name in my object. And the way I do this is by using the this keyword. I call this dot, and then I actually pass in whatever property I want, the key to that value pair. And in that case, it's going to be name. So I say this dot name, and it refers to the current object I'm in, whatever property that is. And that's how we can actually create a method that uses properties of the object we are currently in. So what we need to do now is actually close off and balance off these brackets here. Let's make sure that worked. Let me hit enter there. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to call my object. It's an object with a name. If I want to see that name, I could also just say name, Jose. And now let's check to see if it actually worked when I call greet. So I will call greet. And remember, just like a function, if I don't have open and close parentheses here, hit enter, nothing's going to occur. So I need to open and close those parentheses to actually execute this. And it says hello, Jose. So I forgot to put a little space after hello. So let's fix that. I'm going to come back up here. There's my object. Let's fix that by putting a space in there. And now let's call my object greet again. And then I see hello, Jose. Okay, and that's really the basics of object methods as far as we need to know them. Again, the main thing to get out here is that an object method is essentially just like a function call inside of a key value pair. And if you want to use the properties of the current object you're in, all you have to do is use the this keyword, and syntax highlighting will show you that it's a keyword, and then you say dot, and then whatever the property name you want to use in. Okay, so hopefully you have a better understanding now of how objects actually work in JavaScript, how to create methods inside of an object, and how to use the this keyword. Coming up next is an exercise to review everything we learned about JavaScript objects. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you at the next lecture.